Bonjour, bonsoir, dear friends. Bienvenue, JCB Live. This is the first day of September. My birthday's coming. I hope all the gifts starts to flow in. Remember, I'm turning 48. This is why we're going to drink number 69. With our guest tonight, a man of all phenomenal trades. He knows how to do everything. He's a top consultant for one of the top 4 firms. So very, very, very big brain. He has some of the best tattoos you've ever seen in your life. Ladies and gentlemen, be ready. We're going to zoom in. He is the only man in the world who actually created a company and a wine company out of Bhutan. So, you know, the gross national product, there's another term, gross national happiness level. He's invented the term. He comes to Napa Valley a lot. He lives in Southern California. He has the same eyes as the famous actor Juergens. They have actually the same last name. And I'm very excited to introduce him to you because he's a very phenomenal entrepreneur. We're going to taste his rum out of Bhutan as well. And he's brought a surprise as a wine from Italy. So, dear friends, a disruptor in the wine world, a writer. You could see the book here. He's written it, and it's one of the biggest selling books on Amazon right now. Ladies and gentlemen. Whoa! There he is. Ooh la la, Michel. Michael, what a pleasure to have you.
JC, the pleasure is all mine, my friend.
Thank you for coming all the way up from Southern California.
Oh, wouldn't have missed it for the world.
So I have a big question as you taste this lovely wine. He's almost a master of wine. We'll talk about it. Do you surf with a glass of wine?
No. But on the back end, that's a pretty good way to end a session.
Oh, for sure. Are you a longboard, shortboard?
Oh, I'm a longboard. Look at me.
Oh, no, I
the shortboards are for the little, whipsaw thin guys, not for big guys like me.
Well, very cool. So raised in Newport, Manhattan Beach, or Hermosa Beach, whereabouts?
Raised in Newport, went to elementary school in Newport, and then I went to high school in Irvine. So, but it was a little less demarcated back then. I know. It was a little bit wide open.
From what I heard, you're an amazing skateboarder.
I did a lot of skating back in the day. I actually have been trying to convince my girlfriend that we should put a half pipe in the backyard.
I love it.
I think it's a great idea.
And you could use a pipe both ways. Under, you could make wine, and on top, you slide.
Yeah, we could use it as, like a wine cave in the back. Yeah. She is less enthusiastic about it.
Well, there's questions you should ask to your girlfriend, and I know she's watching, and some things you should just do and say, look at how great it looks.
That's what I should have done.
Well, it's still time.
Yeah.
So tell me, when did you get your passion for Hublot watch?
Oh, wow. That's a great call.
Dear friends, I know Dylan is going to zoom in. Look at this gorgeous, the first ever to have the band as a plastic band. I was one of the first ones to buy Hublot. That was my 18th birthday gift from my parents. I was begging for Hublot watch. And it was only 5 years ago, but...
No, I got my first Hublot. I'm a watch guy, and I like to collect, but I got my first Hublot in about 1998.
Wow.
So that would have been about when you were turning 18.
Oh, well, thank you. I'll drink to that again. But aren't they cool?
Yeah, they're awesome. And I had like the original porthole design.
Yep.
And now we're going to geek out about watches with just the plain black plastic
But
band.
Dylan, make sure you go close because this is a very unusual piece. And this is the big format. This is a great one to collect. And the value keeps going up.
Yeah, and the reason I bought this is the face is cool, but the band is like kind of different than their typical black.
That's right.
Or they're starting to do the metal now. But yeah, big fan of
Cool
Hublot.
brand. So the founder, I met Jean-Claude. Okay. An amazing, charismatic guy. And thanks to a friend of ours, my parents took me to the factory. We bought it there. And luckily for the factory price at the time. And what an experience, because I saw how they bended the plastic, the fabric, and, treated it so it doesn't rash on your skin. I mean, there's a whole process.
I used to wear the first Hublot I got, I used to wear surfing.
Yeah.
It was great. Like, you didn't have to worry about anything. It was bulletproof in the ocean, and you definitely couldn't do that with any watch that had a leather
I
band.
totally agree. Are you footsie on surfing or goofy?
I'm goofy.
I knew he was goofy. Maybe you should explain what is goofy and.
So, well, the people who aren't goofy would say that the way you're supposed to surf or skate or snowboard is with your right foot in the back. And other people go with the left foot in the back, and they call that goofy.
And we are goofy. I knew he was
goofy too?
Of course.
Oh, my friend.
Hey,
Yes.
skateboarding.
Yep.
This way.
Yep.
Surfing.
Snowboard?
Oh, I love it. Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. I think goofy is the right way to do it.
It's the right way. It's like in boxing, I try to do both. You call it southpaw, or and it's the opposite of most, but it's actually a very interesting deterrent thing in the waves as well. Would you argue that we could catch more waves because we go left within the wave?
I've not heard that before, but I'd have to think about that. I guess it would depend on the break. But
That's right.
In theory, depending on the break. But I think also it does give you you're either facing the wave or you're facing out, right?
That's
so
right.
it's easier to surf, for me anyways, facing inward.
That's right.
I'm
the same.
Have you seen this 100-foot wave?
Yeah.
Documentary?
Of course.
Oh my God, it's insane.
For all of us, dear friends who love surfing, and I'm a student of Mr. Juergens. He's the professor. I'm not as good as he is, but I'm in love with surfing. I don't think there's any sports that takes you, maybe Formula One, maybe going on a rocket for 90 seconds or even less into such a phenomenal rush that it's kind of the apotheotic, right?
I actually think it's absolutely that, but I think if you buy into the whole we crawled out of the sea, right, as humans, then there's a piece of this that when you go back into Mother Ocean, you just kind of reconnect with some really tribal shit that's going on in your head.
Yeah.
That also triggers stuff that you don't get.
Is it how you meditate or you heal?
I 100% agree it's how you heal.
Yeah.
I think there are people who can find meditation in the ocean. For me, I've never been able to do that super well, but
yeah, but it's amazing because you sit on that board, legs spread.
Yeah,
you're waiting for that wave. You're looking at the ocean, and suddenly, I think the way you look at the world is very different.
100%.
Right?
It definitely clears your head of a lot of whatever bullshit you're worrying about.
That's it.
You go surfing for a little bit, and you come out a different human being.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. So now, Southern California. How did you get into wine? Of all things. Because he is finalizing the master of wines, dear friend. The 45th American ever selected all the way to the end. So he's on the finish line. It's the Olympics. He's about to be on the podium.
I hope so, man. I got 10 more days till this year's exam. So not that I'm counting. But
well, this is so cool.
It's exciting
but
stuff.
Why wine? Southern California, studying at the University of Irvine.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a wine culture there as much.
So I think that anyone who has this rabid passion for wine typically had an experience.
Yeah.
And I think you have a wine. Is it number 7? Is that what it's called?
Correct.
That kind of talks about your experience.
Totally.
So I had
my mother. Yeah.
Anyone who's this passionate about it has that event. For me, that event occurred. My father, who was not a wine guy, went to Italy and on a business trip, and they gave him a bottle of Gattinara, 1975 Gattinara. I remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
And he brought it home, and he said, "Mike, I got this bottle of wine, and it's old, and old wine's good. We should drink it." And I said, "I don't drink wine." He goes, "Give it a go." And
how old were you at the time?
I was 23.
And you were not drinking wine at 23.
I was not. I mean,
more
Southern
beer,
California
cocktails.
Beer and cocktails, yeah. I mean, especially in Southern California, there's so much of like a Mexican beer culture.
Yeah.
We grew up drinking Coronas and Tecates with lime and stuff. Yeah. And I kind of didn't give a shit about wine. I knew people did, but I didn't. And so my dad was like, "We're gonna smoke cigars." I'm like, "Okay,
cool.
I think cigars and wine go together." Sure. So my mom said, "Not in the house. Go in the garage."
We've heard that before.
So we go in the garage, and my dad gets some red Solo cups, plastic Solo cups.
Cool.
Pours this 1975 Gattinara into it, and I remember it clear as day. I put my nose in it, and I was just sort of like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah.
And then I tasted it, and it was like, okay, I get what this is about. I understand why people care about this.
That's it.
At the level that they do. And I just kept leaning further and further from further in, and the rabbit hole goes pretty deep, my friend.
Well, so deep that now, I mean, you know.
Now I'm in the Himalayas, like trying to figure
Well,
out how to grow
we're going to go there, but it seems that's your personality. When you go somewhere, you go so deep that you want to know 100% of everything.
Yeah.
So how did you find your personality?
Huh, wow.
Because that's a big deal. From 23-year-old, not knowing anything about wine per se, to now completing the Master of Wine, to have written books on wine, to making wine on the furthest point of the earth where nobody could imagine you could, is a pretty big deal.
I think I'm a pretty creative person. You know, I write books, I play music, I think I'm pretty creative, and I think there's a piece of wine that speaks to the creative mind in a way that it doesn't speak to the non-creative mind.
Mm-hmm.
Those two things go really, really well together. And whenever I'm doing anything that has that creative component to it, like I'm all in. I'm jumping in 100%. We're gonna go and see how deep the rabbit hole goes, and I'm curious. And
that's
I
cool.
want to find out, and so that's kind of what I do with it. Curiously enough, you know, I was a business guy. Like I went to grad school for getting my MBA. You know, I worked for one of the world's largest firms,
and you still do,
and I still do. But
he advises major companies, dear friends. Give him a call. He could give you strategy. We may end up in a strategy session shortly.
Yeah, we might. We start unpacking the JCB business model.
Ooh la la. What is a business model?
So wine was always something I did as a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
And to be at the stage of my life where I can do it for work is just amazing. I'm envious of someone who's gotten to do it as work.
A lifestyle.
Yeah, because if you're doing it because you like it, it's not really work, is it? That's never
been work.
But shit, I was doing this as a hobby for years. Yeah. Like I'd spend my weekends doing this, and now to get to do it during the week too, it's like I won the corporate lottery.
Very true.
Yeah.
So how would you describe number 69?
Number 69.
Because this is our latest presentation. Well, I think you should describe 69 more the action, and we'll guess the wine through it.
Yeah.
It should normally give the same pleasure, if not more.
It's the aromatics are different. Sorry.
Well, depending where you put your nose.
This thing's gone off the rails already, JC. We're only 10 minutes into this. No, so for me, this wine is there's kind of overt strawberry notes, and I almost get a little bit of cranberry on it too. But what stands out in this wine for me is there's really good minerality for a New World sparkling.
Mm.
It's really more minerally than I was expecting, and what I'm guessing maybe 18 months entourage.
You're exactly right.
Yeah.
You see? And he has a blog. We'll talk about that in a second because everybody should go on his blog.
But it's interesting because you get like Cremant where it's only the lees is kind of lower, and I actually kind of prefer Cremant in a lot of cases because it's more easy drinking and it doesn't require as much attention as like a vintage Grand Cru might. The acidity to me it's kind of perfectly in balance with the fruit. It's not as searing as sometimes you would get. I think this wine's actually, my palate skews pretty heavily towards the old world. So when you poured this, I was like, this is going to be a little sweet. But no, it's...
Yeah, you're exactly right.
9 grams dosage.
You're exactly right. You're nailing it. God, I deliver to you your Master of Wine degree. Sir, you qualify for the highest exam in the world. You're entering the British Society of Master of Wine.
Yeah.
See, you got your degree 10 days before time.
10 days. Oh, God, maybe I peaked too soon. I gotta hold on.
Now we're gonna play the sideways game.
Okay.
What do you think of Merlot?
I love Merlot.
We had Rex, Pickett, the writer.
Oh, you did?
Of Sideways a few weeks ago on the show, and it was so much fun. He's a phenomenal guy, and we're doing a big event in 12 days. In September now, September 12 and 13, or 11 and 12 at Buena Vista.
Yeah.
which will be the sideways play and
they're doing
musical.
They're doing the play.
Oh, we're gonna be in the.
I heard the play was awesome.
Well,
I heard the play was
we'll tell you.
Spectacular. Yeah.
So when we drink Merlot from Rutherford, we're excited because we never show people it's Merlot, and people think, "Oh, I love your cab," because it's a Merlot that tastes like a cab, but still with Merlot characteristics. As Christian would love, it's very Petrus-esque. I know he's going to kill me for saying that.
That's a bold statement, my friend.
Well, we better be bold.
Yeah, I applaud. I applaud the boldness.
So as you taste the wine, tell us about how you started your blog and what the blog is about and all that. Because here we are, dear friends. Our good friend Michael is working for one of the big firms, financial guy, strategy, everything else. It's the prime example for many of us who are looking for evolving in life, doing something else. He's going to tell us how he's done it. From the weekends to now the week, I mean, having the balls to say, I'll get out of the waves and the skateboards and the tattoo room. I'm going to write about wine and between two financial statements. That's pretty cool.
Well, so here's what happened. So I'd written a number of books about wine, novels primarily. And all my friends know that I'm a wine guy and I'm studying for my master's of wine and I'm curious and I'm traveling all over the world to every major global wine region. And so everyone's like, well, tell us what to drink. Like, tell us what to drink. I'm like, I'm not responsible for telling you what to drink.
Yeah.
And then we had a pandemic.
Yeah.
And so I started writing a weekly email that basically said, look, you guys probably don't know a lot about Chenin Blanc, but it's really good. And it comes in a couple different styles, and you should get some and try some from Vouvray and Savennier. And,
wow.
You know, stuff like that. And then I sent the email out to like 10 of my friends. And then they forwarded it to their friends, and then their friends would email me and say, hey, can you send me these things? And I started doing one every single week with the idea that, hey, look, you're in lockdown. Spend 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Buy a bottle of this wine. And I would put like a link into a bottle of wine that I would recommend. Like, buy this wine, drink it, and at the end of all this, you're going to be an expert in wine. You're going to be completely conversant in wine without having to really do much work at all, other than drink new things and learn a little bit about them. And so I was doing this, and like all of a sudden I'm getting hundreds and hundreds of requests, and I get like my little email to my friends started going out all over the world.
I love it.
And so
cool.
And so so then people were like, well, can you send me all of the back issues? And I'm like, no, I can't send you all the back issues. Like, I'm doing this for fun. Like, this is not a thing. So I packaged up the first 52 into this book with the idea that someone could take it.
Dear friends, look at this gorgeous cover. Pink as we can blush when we taste 69. So rosé, that was easy. So you package everything here. So you can see, and I know Dylan is zooming in, Cabernet Franc. God. Cabernet Franc married Sauvignon Blanc. They made love lavishly. They had 69. After 69, they started to smell one another, love each other. They made love even more. And they gave birth to Cabernet Sauvignon. I love your writing style.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is very cool.
Yeah.
Isn't it great? Hey, it's right here, dear friends. I did not invent it. So you go by two names, actually.
Yeah, I use my middle name for my wine book. So Michael Amen.
Are you trying to hide with the other name?
I'm trying to hide, yeah. I don't. You can't.
He's being researched by the FBI, but we're providing access in the cellar for him.
You're outing me. You're outing all my secrets.
But this is great. And you know what I love? Look, Assertico. So prime example of a fabulous grape variety.
Amazing grape variety. Yeah.
Tell us about it. Yeah.
Oh, what I love about Assertico is you get like this kind of really smoky minerality from Santorini and this kind of ripping high acidity.
Yeah.
But enough fruit to kind of balance the two. I think it really showcases the smoky minerality of a wine. It's not a fruit wine.
And I love it because it's 2 pages. So for the ADD...
Yeah. All my friends are ADD.
Well, we all, right? But in a few short New York minutes or Manhattan Beach minute, you learn it. And look at that. Updag with Lillet. Spätburgunder. This is very cool. That can you even find Spätburgunder in the United States?
That is part of the problem. But I have this theory.
Yeah.
So you're a wine guy. You tell me what you think about this theory. Somehow we fucked up wine in the U.S.
Aha.
And the theory is like if you go to anywhere in Europe, it is just such a part of the culture. Mm-hmm. There's great wine. There's inexpensive wine. People have fun with it. They have parties with it. They, in Spain they have a wine fight. You use squirt guns. It's this fun thing. It's joyous. And here, we somehow have made it this kind of more stuffy, intimidating thing. Not in this room.
No, for sure not.
In this room. You were doing the Lord's work.
Well, we are with you, and the way you're presenting this book. Why is it, though? What's your view of?
So I have a theory on this. America came late to the wine game. Mm-hmm. And so you think about Mondavi back in the 60s was trying to say, hey, the rest of the world, we can do this as good as the Europeans. But we were the wild, wild west. So you had to create it and be more precise, more polite, make it more of an important thing.
That's right.
And that kind of snowballed. And today we have this thing where people are terrified to go, order anything other than a Chardonnay at a bar because they're worried they're going to be judged and they're going to do it wrong. And
to your point, I sometimes, in addition to this, think or could fear the movements are so strong in the United States that we could live another prohibition.
Well, let's not even get started on the draconian three-tier system, which is absurd. It is.
Dear friend, distributors, forgive us.
Oh, sorry.
This is just a little angle. Did we say that?
This is a philosophy conversation.
We love you.
Not
we
a
need
business
you,
conversation.
but not always.
But it is, you think about before we had income tax.
Yeah.
The entire U.S. government was funded off of alcohol taxes. And so...
I did not know
You did not know that? Yeah. No. We ran the country until 1920 on alcohol taxes.
Wow.
And then we said, well, we should probably tax people's incomes too. That should have then gotten rid of the need to tax all the alcohol and do all that. But that was already in place. So let's just let it ride.
So everybody, you should blame your income tax for prohibition. If not, you would not have paid income tax.
Right.
Maybe life would even be better.
We have built this whole thing around the industry, which now makes it intimidating. And I feel terrible for if I had this book when I was 23, this would have been a game changer for me. But I didn't know, and I didn't have any mentors.
Well, as you've written several books, what are the others? So we're going to list them to all of you in the chat. So we want to make sure that you said novel.
So I wrote a book called Blinders, which is about the secret underground world of blind tasting competitions with big gambling run by the Chinese mafia on the blind tasting competitions.
Pretty cool.
And
it's a fiction.
It's fiction. And then these two guys basically try to
it sounds like reality with the latest news we've heard.
Well.
And some of those, we mean.
I get asked a lot how much of it is real. Yeah. And there's, there's pieces of it that are real. Yeah. Anyway, so I wrote that book. That book was, really a big success. And then I wrote a follow-up sequel about kind of really trying to talk about how phylloxera works, but all this sort of hustle heist kind of thing. And then I wrote the sequel to that, which is about the same two guys are in all of them. They try to track down this unknown origin of this bottle of wine. It's just spectacular. So they go through Europe and they're trying to find out where this wine came from because it's so magical.
Wow.
And then I wrote a book of short stories called The Champagne Tales, where each story is about champagne, but in different ways. Like one set in France in the 40s with the Nazis, and one set in the ghetto in South Central LA, and one set in I wrote these stories with the idea of, hey, I want to showcase champagne, but what I really wanted to do was pull on people's emotions.
Of course.
So one story is designed to make you cry. Another is designed to make you really angry. Another is designed to make you really sentimental. And so I did all these.
I like that.
So I'm pressure testing these stories with my girlfriend. And so I write this one where I'm trying to make the reader cry. And I'm sitting there and she's reading it at the coffee table. And I'm sitting across from her just watching her. Just watching her. And I see when she gets to the turning point at the end where it hits you and the color just drains from her face and she just starts sobbing uncontrollably. And
you did it!
Without thinking though, I jump up and I scream, yes, yes, yes. And she looks at me, she's like, why are you cheering? And I'm sad. I'm like, no, I'm sorry, babe. I'm sorry. I love you. I'm not cheering because you're sad. I'm cheering because what I'm trying to do worked.
Well, you're right. It's never easy. It's like making wine. You want to create certain emotions as you write a book.
Yeah.
You know, wine is a book in the bottle. In many ways, you tell a story throughout the enjoyment of the wine. And sometimes you have different reaction, which is not the one you intended to have.
But I think there's a reason we've been making wine for 14,000 years. Mm-hmm. We've only been doing one other thing for 14,000 years.
I just wonder.
Yeah.
We have a wine named after it.
We do. So, I mean, it speaks to us, I think it just this visceral level within our bodies that the people that don't drink wine are missing out.
Are you drinking wine when you write your books?
Fuck yeah.
You write by hand or with the computer?
No. So here's the way I work. Well, except for the drinking and knowing things, which is a weekly thing. But if I'm going to write a novel, I take about 6 to 12 months to sort of figure it out in my head.
Yeah.
Then I outline it. And then I block off a week and I get a bunch of wine and a bunch of caffeine and a bunch of nicotine. And I sit down and I write nonstop for as much of the 168 hours a week. Yeah. Like my first novel I wrote in 9 days. My second one I wrote in about 12.
So you attack.
I attack.
You're a monster. You don't go to bed. You continue
I don't go to bed. I just go. Yeah. And, you got to pull in 4 hours of sleep.
Well, and for sure, but within your business, which is really finance.
Yeah.
I mean, accounting, finance, strategic. Right. It would be hard to intermingle a sentimental wine story with the right brain of financial statements.
Yeah.
Not easy, right?
Not easy, correct. And one could argue sometimes the two are mutually exclusive. But,
yeah.
But I think, for me, I need to, when I'm focused, I just need to go. You get in flow state, it's like surfing. You get in that flow state and you just ride it.
That's it.
And once I break out of it, it's kind of hard to get back in. So I try to stay in it as long as I can.
Oh, that's great. Well, I'm going to drink to that.
Thank you, man. Thank you. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy writing.
Very impressed. Dear friends, we have a multi-brain. He has actually 2 heads. The other one is on the back. You cannot see it with a camera. There's 2 minds there.
The logical one is down there. Sometimes they switch positions.
Well, who wants logic sometimes, right?
So I like this Merlot.
What do you think of it?
It's, I think to me it's fairly obvious it's Merlot, just because the tannins to me are so plush, and there's that kind of plush mid palate that you just don't get from Cabernet. My one maybe comment on the wine is that oak's pretty prominent.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to see what this wine drank like in about 10 years.
For sure.
As opposed to today.
Too young. 2016, big guns.
Yeah, so 100% New French oak?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, no, I believe it's around 65.
65, about 18 months?
Yep.
Yeah.
About that. It's Rutherford too.
Yeah.
So it's that extremely phenomenal soil, which I think is a great soil for Merlot as well.
I think Merlot has gotten a bit of a bad rap. Blame your guy Rex Pickett for doing that. But
that's it.
Some of those right bank Bordeaux's.
And look at this. I mean, we are doing so well with this. I'm in love with it because I don't always want to drink Cab necessarily.
Yeah.
Or even for that matter, go to the other world of Pinot or to go to Sonoma. What would be great in Napa with depth and richness and intensity, but still that spicy, seductive idea that Merlot presents? I
think for me, like Cab is a little more of a punk rock song. Like it's coming in hard and fast, and you got to get in the pit and enjoy it, right? Whereas
that's right.
Merlot is a little more of a seductive song. It's still a little punk rock, but it's a love punk rock song.
So when you're not at the coffee table but on the couch with your girlfriend, you want to try to seduce her. What do you serve? What grape variety do you serve?
I just flex up. Problem solved.
Well, Dylan, let's go close. Talking about flexing. Hey, we got to show all our friends. I mean, we have so many great
Look,
friends.
I got some wine glasses there. I got some grapes.
Let me make sure we showcase. Look at that.
Yeah.
Grapes. I saw lips earlier.
That's the Matador.
Girlfriend.
That's yeah. And then of course I have the French vineyard on my chest.
Look at this, Dylan.
The Latache vineyard. So I'll tell you a story about how this happened. So
because this is that's the first Latache vineyard I see on a human skin.
So my tattoo artist is this guy by the name of Bugs, and he's from Perpignan, France. And so he's very old school French and very artistic.
Well, obviously.
So,
you give him direction, I'm sure, but
ordinarily I give him direction. Here's what happened. I go one day. He's been tattooing for 30 or 40 years. He's always like on magazine covers and stuff. And one day I said, "Hey, Bugs, what's the tattoo that you've always wanted to do artistically, but no one's ever asked for it?" And without hesitation, he goes, "I want to do a French vineyard scene." And I was like, "Sold." We're doing that. And so like it was actually his idea, and I was like, why the hell didn't I think of that? I'm the fucking
and how does
guy.
it feel on your chest? It's not too difficult?
No, it hurts. It hurts like hell, and you bleed. Do you have any tattoos?
No. I'm tattooed inside by a lot of histories.
We wrap this up and we can go down the street and we can hook that up.
I want to do it right on my forehead like in Bhutan.
In Bhutan. Actually, so in Bhutan, one of the we have this gross national happiness thing. And so tattoos are not a big thing there, but occasionally people will tattoo a swastika.
That's right, of course.
Because it means...
the swastika was borrowed by a terrifying man in 1933.
Yeah, well, it had a whole different meaning in Eastern culture.
And nobody often knows. They just say, oh, it's the Game cross.
Right.
That's the sign.
Yeah, and I was sort of like, wait, I don't this is the happiest place on earth. What's the story with this? And finally I asked some people, and they're like, what are you talking about? This means like love and harmony. And I'm like, oh, well, not where I'm from. It doesn't. It means something different.
That's right.
But yeah, so that's the common one that you see in Bhutan. Not a big tattoo culture.
So how, as I'm going to serve you another wine for fun, and then we're going to try your surprise wine and the rum. Dear friends, you're going to realize that Michael, among all the things we've talked about, incredible consulting career, phenomenal master of wine, to be the 45th, similar to the last president, 45th, it's a big deal. 45th American awarded the Master of Wine.
There are more astronauts in the United States than Masters of Wine.
Here we go.
So there you go.
Third, amazing rider, great surfer, skateboarder, tattoo holder, forever, almost. Yeah. And now went to Bhutan and made wine. So, question one, why did you go to Bhutan?
My girlfriend had read a book about Bhutan in high school, about this American woman who went there in the 80s and met the love of her life and lived there. And of course, a love story and Bhutan and blah, blah, blah. So I've been hearing about Bhutan since we got together. We've been together 15 years. Bhutan.
Yeah.
And at the time, we were running marathons around the world in weird places. And I got an email that said, Bhutan at Marathon. And I clicked on it, and they're like, we've brokered this deal to go to the Kingdom of Bhutan to run the world's first international marathon. Do you want to go? And I was like, yes, I'm going to surprise my girlfriend. So I click on the email and I say, sign us up.
Such a good boyfriend.
I know, right?
It's a pretty big surprise to go, oh, we're going to the Kingdom of Bhutan. Like that surprise.
And that's exactly what happened. So I go to her and I go, honey, guess what? We're going to the Kingdom of Bhutan, just like you've always wanted to. And she goes, to run a marathon. And she's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. We're going to the Himalayas. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Bhutan is in Indonesia. And she goes, no, it isn't. It's between Tibet and Nepal. And I go, wait, what? We're going to go run a marathon in the Himalayas? And she goes,
what's the altitude?
Well, the country goes from about 500 feet in altitude on the south side to 27,000 feet
that's what I was going to say.
And in a very small, it's like the size of Switzerland. So like a couple hundred miles, you just keep going up. The marathon is about 7,000 feet, which is plenty high. So anyway,
you need a mask.
That's how we ended up there. And so while I was there, I'm looking around and all I see these, beautiful terraced slopes with just this wonderful crops, and we're eating like the best vegetables I've ever had in my life. And so everywhere I go, I'm like, where are the vineyards? I'm not leaving this country until I find the vineyards. And everyone's like, what are you talking about? There are no vineyards. And so finally I ended up at this dinner with these government officials, and I go, hey, where's your vineyards? I want to go. And they're like, we don't have any vineyards. And so I get kind of a little bit annoyed, and I start going like,
because we've heard
you guys are wasting this beautiful terroir, growing the world's best mandarin oranges. We need to grow grapes here. We need to make beautiful Bhutanese wine to showcase the beauty and magic. This is what I'm saying.
I love it,
guys. And they're like,
isn't he passionate?
And they're like, do you think this will work? And I'm like, absolutely. And so that's how it started.
So they did not have 9,000 years ago some vineyards up there?
No.
I thought so. You see, I was misled.
Yeah. So that I think what happened is when a lot of those grapes got taken from like the Silk Road.
Yeah.
Right? And the Silk Road never went through Bhutan because the peaks were too high. It was pretty isolated as a country. And so it remained this untouched place. I mean, hell, they only opened their borders to tourism in like the 70s. I mean, it was isolated. But they were just living in these valleys, doing gross national happiness, growing these amazing crops, just living cool lives.
That's right.
Untouched by Western influences. And I just looked at it and I thought, God, if there was ever a place that you could grow some magical wine, here would be it.
You said that on your first trip?
Yeah.
Fucking A.
Yeah.
That you had what we call balls to tell them, let's do it. So how, in a country like that, which is a kingdom, what's the process of establishing a vineyard?
Well, so
because it must be pretty
about 15 years ago, what the kingdom did was they established a system of government similar to England. Mm-hmm. So they created a parliament, started a democratic process, and so there is like this parliamentary body, and then there is also the royal family. So that and they kind of run it very similar to England. And so what I did is I wrote this white paper that said, here's why I think Bhutan would be awesome for growing grapes. And I emailed it to them. And I had no intention of starting a wine company there. I just thought it would be cool if they did it. Yeah. I'm like, this is magical. Do something with this, please. Here's some information. About 2 years later, I had so much fun running the marathon the first time, I went back with a different group of people.
With a different girlfriend?
Not a different girl. I actually took my son that time. I left the girlfriend at home. I took my son and a couple friends. Anyway,
that's what we'll believe.
As far as she knows, I took my son.
We don't mean to start a family discord.
We're on camera now, JC. Back me up. Be a good wingman. Be a good wingman.
I saw pictures with you and your son. That's all I saw. I remember.
Yeah. So anyway, we go over there. While we're there, various government people wanted to meet with me. And so they were like, hey, are you the wine guy? And I'm like, I am the wine guy. So it turns out everybody read the white paper.
Great.
And they said, do you think that this will work? And I said, I 100% know this will work. And they're like, well, how do you know? And I go, because I've traveled all over the world. I've been to every major wine region in the world. I've studied this stuff in depth. I look at what you have. I see the quality of your produce in every other vertical. Grapes will grow here. The question is not, will grapes grow? The question is really trying to find the right balance of microclimates. Merlot at 3,000 feet, Riesling at 7, whatever it is, right? Yeah. But I go, this 100% will work. And they go, well, how would we do it? I go, no problem. I'm a business consultant. So I went back to California. Yeah. I wrote a 10-year business plan. I identified all the work streams. I drafted potential wine regulations for the country. I want them to do it so badly. I feel like this is like the last place on earth.
A calling from you to be given this idea from up there to say, be the one.
Well, I had no intention of being the one. Yeah. I sent them all that stuff. I said, please go do this. Let me know when it's done. I'll come drink some wine. And they said, do you want to come help us do it? And I was like, as far as I know, I think Bhutan is probably the last country in the world that has the organic potential to produce vinifera. Yeah. That doesn't. Everywhere else has been doing it, to your point, for thousands of years. And now we're up in Russia trying to figure out how to grow grapes in the snow.
So tell us about the vineyard per se. So we cannot try it today because it's in fourth leaf.
Fourth
right?
leaf, yeah.
So fourth leaf is 4 years in.
Yep.
So soon, normally the fifth.
Knock on wood, my friend.
Well,
No,
it's
so
beautiful marble from the
Knock
same choir as Lincoln Memorial. So,
Oh,
yes, I know. You touch it, you feel the wiseness of the founding fathers.
wow.
And beyond. Pretty
Right.
cool, huh?
That is.
Yeah.
Now we're digressing. Very cool.
Well, it's an egg shape too, which makes it even the most comfortable shape you could see.
It is. I thought it was oval, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's actually egg shaped.
Yeah.
Did you have this custom made?
Yeah.
This is freaking cool.
And
as
it's the last judgment, so whatever you do here, you forgiven.
hell. Perfect. I like that. So back to who I brought to Bhutan. I did it in front of the Last Judgment. So if it wasn't my son, I'm good to go.
My son, you have to say 3 Holy Mary, and I will forgive you.
I'll get to it when I get home.
And if you double it, you may have a lot of affection from her.
Yeah. So I for me, just the idea of if you're a winemaker,
Yeah.
or a grape grower, to just have a plot,
Yeah.
to do something magical.
That's right.
Is amazing, right? As you know, I'm
Yes.
not telling you anything you don't know, but to have a whole country and a whole environment and to kind of figure stuff out is amazing. So we have 8 vineyards there now. 6 are in their fourth leaf and 2 are in their second leaf. And our plan is to scale that to about 2,000 acres over the next 7 years.
2,000?
Yeah.
But this is huge.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, if we're going to put
How many acres did you start with?
So our first 6 were more experimental, and we played with different altitudes. So those are about 2 acres each, maybe. And then the 2 we just planted are one is 70 acres, but we only planted half of it, and then the other is 25, and we planted half of it because we're still trying to figure out what works, right? So you plant everything and you find out it doesn't work.
That's
so
right.
you plant half of it and figure out what works, and then scale. And then we're scouting sites right now. But to me, I think the ability to showcase the beauty of Bhutan and the diversity comes at scale.
I love it, of
right?
course.
You have one little, like this wine we're going to drink. Like this guy has 3 acres or 4 acres, whatever it is.
Yeah.
He does some cool stuff, but if you want to share what he does, there's just not enough wine. It's not relevant in the global wine space.
But 2,000 acres makes sense. And the name Bhutan is so famous.
Oh, it's captivating. It's
captivating, exactly.
It's got this magical connotation.
As we're going to taste the wine soon, and we're going to taste the rum from Bhutan.
This is actually not Bhutanese rum. This rum is made in Southern California.
Oh, okay, well, we're still going to try it.
We'll still try it.
Yeah.
We'll see how it shapes up against the JCB vodka, which, by the way, I don't know if you know this, I bought all of them, including the gin, when they first came out.
Oh, thank you.
And the caviar one is awesome. So I just got
one of my favorite, too.
Props for the caviar one.
Thank you. So when you think Bhutan, what do you think of as a name? What for you, from the name to the philosophy of life, to the kidnam, to the wine themselves, you want people to think about?
It's peace and happiness. Mm-hmm. Which is, I think, what we're all searching for. In our
lives. The gross national happiness index.
Yeah, I mean that's how they measured their economy. They basically were like, we want to measure the success of our country based on how happy our people are. And what a cool concept. Not how rich they are.
Well, we measure it through gross domestic products.
Right.
Or gross national.
Yeah. How much shit can you build? All right, cool. That's the measure of how good you are as a country. And now these guys came out and said, no. And it is the most serene, just calming, it truly is, in my opinion. Like, they say it's the happiest place on earth, but when I land at that airport and I get off and my feet touch that ground, you feel this serene energy just wash over you, and you're just like, oh, wow, it's amazing. It's life changing.
We all going. I think it is.
Come visit.
Well,
I can. You have a standing invite, man.
Thank you, and I can guarantee you, I will.
Yeah,
I will, because a man I wear always the shoes of, Red Soul, Blue Bhutan, did a lot of projects, as you know, in Bhutan.
Oh yeah.
And he did a phenomenal journey by making a series specifically for the ladies, not for the men, but that amazing patterns in Bhutan.
Yeah.
And he's very close
I thought,
with the king and queen of Bhutan because that series is a big success. And then he went to India.
Yeah,
and did something similar, and etc.
Didn't they do like actually a show, like some
show?
exhibit?
Yeah.
In like London with the.
I've seen it.
Yeah,
I've seen it. That's why I know.
I'm telling you, like
everybody loves to go there.
It is life changing, and to imagine, you're the guy that says, "Okay, now capture this in a bottle."
So,
like, holy shit!
What cool would you, as we tasting a organic and biodynamic wine from Raymond, 2015 vintage? It's the 5 key grape varieties, Bordeaux blend. That's a taste which is obviously very Rutherford, St. Helena, Napa.
It's got some VA on it.
Yeah, we love it. We love it. How would you like the wine to taste? I'm going to have a little refill.
So here's what I think. I think that there's a lot of emphasis put on making a style of wine today, and I think that those wines are great and they're very marketable. As a business decision, it's great. There are other wines that are trying to capture the essence of a place.
Yeah.
I want to capture the essence of Bhutan.
Okay.
The world doesn't need another
oaky
Chardonnay.
What is it, you think? Because I love that overall mission statement, but concretely, what do you think it's going to be in terms of sensory?
So I think it's going to be pretty savory. I think there's a lot of minerality that's going to come. I mean, the soil there is so diverse. I mean, it's granitic, it's alluvial runoff from the glaciers, it's clay, it's iron, it's really diverse soil.
Yeah.
And the climate ranges there, we can grow in some really hot climates that are 100 degrees, and we can grow in some real cooler climates that are 70. And so I think the cooler climate stuff in particular, we're going to have a lot of restrained fruit and more of that showing the minerality of the region. And then the stuff on the bottom will be more fruit driven. But what's crazy to me is if you take a scoop of Bhutanese soil and you look at it in your hand, there's just so many microorganisms in it.
Really?
It's teeming with life. It's like
that's the
4 different colors of dirt and 6 different worms and 2 little bugs. You don't know what they are. And
so today we have 12 acres, roughly, 2 times 6.
Today we have planted about 50 acres.
Wow.
And I have about another 40 that are ready to be planted, but I don't quite know what I want to put in them yet.
And they totally let you do it.
Yeah.
They ask your recommendation. You get the plants from where?
So
the rootstocks and the cones.
So I mean, I'm simplifying this down. There was a lot of working with all the different government agencies to try to figure out how we want to build this industry and what kind of rules we want to set up. And the first vines I got from Sunridge. You guys probably know Sunridge.
Yeah, for sure.
But no one would reply to me because I'm emailing people going, "Hi, I'd like to buy some vines. Can you ship them to the Himalayas?" And they just dismissed it as like a joke or a scam. So I finally got in my car and I drove to Bakersfield.
Yeah.
And I sat down with the Sunridge guys and I was like, "This is what I'm doing. Help me out." And so they did. And they actually, one of their guys, Sebastian, who's awesome. I don't know if you know Sebastian.
I think I've met him.
Yeah, I think he's doing more stuff in Washington and Oregon now. But he came to Bhutan with us and helped us lay the vineyards out and plant them and everything, which is awesome. And then the second round we got from Mercier.
Yeah, great.
In
and do you think we'll be able to develop a local wine culture in Bhutan of them drinking wine? Because they don't drink alcohol, right?
Oh, no, they drink alcohol.
Aha!
So they actually have a wine culture already that is based around rice wine. So every family has their own secret formula for rice wine, and they make it in their homes, and it's like the traditional offering. If you show up at someone's house, they serve you some of their rice wine. Yeah. And so I'll tell you this is funny. So the first time I was there, I got invited to this diplomat's house. Yeah. And so we go, and it's me and my girlfriend, a couple other couples, and some Bhutanese folks. And it's very formal, and they're very polite and formal. And I'd heard about this rice wine. It's called Ara. And I go, "Hey, I heard about this Ara thing. Do you guys do that?" And the guy's like, "Of course we do that. Would you like to try our Ara?" And I was like, "I would love to try your Ara." So he goes in the other room to get his Ara, and the other guys there Other Bhutanese folks are like, don't try his aura. His aura is bullshit. They reach in their jackets and they all start pulling out their aura. No, our aura is better. They're like, you have to try all of our auras and like, don't, no. And then the whole thing turned into this great big aura party. And it was awesome.
Wow. One
of the other couples that was there, the American couples, didn't think it was as awesome as I thought it was. But so yeah, they have this. It's endemic and welcoming people to your home. You serve Amara. Now, if we can add Merlot or Cabernet Franc into that mix and as an alternative,
for sure.
How fucking cool is that?
And you've planted some of those great varieties as well.
Yeah, we planted Syrah, Malbec, Merlot, Cabernet, Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, and Pinot.
Pinot too. I was waiting.
Absolutely.
Pinot is not coming. What's happening?
No, we're
at that altitude with that soil you describe. I'm sure it would do maybe uniquely well.
I think how awesome would it be if we just created like such a distinctive Pinot that the sommeliers and the MW exam, people are like, oh, that's a Bhutanese Pinot. How crazy!
I'll go.
And here's the other thing that I think about. So that the best forests for oak are in France because it's colder. Grains are tighter, finer.
Yep.
You know where it gets pretty cold?
Well, I assume Bhutan.
Has a lot of oak trees.
Really?
Yeah. So if we...
Well, it would be good to go full Fred. So you make the barrels there. Everything comes from there, from the terroir of the entire country.
Yep. And imagine, I actually have a whole bag of Bhutanese oak samples that we're trying to start doing some research on. But imagine if Bhutanese oak barrels, and then you take that empty barrel and you ship it to Scotland, and Lefroy does a Bhutanese oak, 15 years. Like there's some really cool stuff that we could do with that terroir. Now the barrel thing, I don't know about. We got to figure out if that's going to work. But I'm thinking, 50 years from now,
as you should. The monks who developed all the forest of France,
right?
Or most of them, and the kings, 10 centuries ago were thinking ahead.
Mm-hmm.
They were thinking 200, 300, 400 years old. I mean, a real great oak barrel is 300 years old, as you know.
Oh, yeah.
In order to make great wines.
I was in Alsace at Domaine Hugel, and they have a oak barrel there that's from I think it's almost 400 years old.
I'm not surprised.
It's huge. It has a plaque on it that says and it's black. I mean,
yeah. What do you think of this?
So for me, this has got a bit too much VA on it for me.
You don't like the VA?
I like a little bit of VA.
Some of us love volatile acidity.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
So how do we define it? How do you find it as a taste? Explain what is VA to our friends.
So VA is I guess a similar analog would be like acetone. It has a similar aroma to nail polish remover, and I think a little bit.
He's kissing his girlfriend's hand way too much.
I think a little bit of it adds some lifted aromatics to wine, but it's just like Brett, right?
For sure.
Like a little bit of Brett, for me, I like a little bit of Brett.
Well, you're talking to a Burgundy guy.
Yeah, well, so, a little bit of Brett's good.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things that if you have a little bit of aromatics on them, they're good.
Now, tell us now about the next step in your Bhutan project, because true entrepreneur, you have a full-time job, you're just doing that on the side. With the high hope, you created a Bhutan wine company, so there's something that you have in mind. Give us the outcome of the fourth leaf and where you're going to make the wine and all that stuff.
So what we have right now, we have a company set up. That company in the U.S. here has a team, CEO, viticulturalist, all that stuff.
Wow.
And then we have a corporate entity in Bhutan that has a CEO and probably 100 plus employees that are doing stuff, various activities.
Yeah, not just wine.
No, just wine. Labor there is really cheap, so it's easier for me to have more fully committed laborers than seasonal help like where you see in other areas. And some of those people are part-time people, and some of them are full-time. Anyway, so where we're at right now, we have 8 vineyards. We're working on our first winery and tasting room, which is going to be smaller scale, probably 20,000 cases, near the capital city of Thimphu. And then we're about to go into phase 3 of the business plan, which is we're trying to scale to 2,000 acres. And then we're going to build a much larger production facility on the eastern side of the country near the border of India for a couple reasons. One, because we can get access to the port of Kolkata to ship stuff out.
Sure.
And secondly, because India has 1 billion people. And I don't know, do you guys import anywhere?
Yes.
What are the taxes and the tariffs like for you?
82%.
Yeah. You know what they are for Bhutan?
No.
0.
I see what you're thinking. The mini Hong Kong.
So our plan is to have more bulk style wine that's going to go to India, take advantage of that free trade agreement.
Cool.
And then terroir-based wines that are going to the world
to
showcase the beauty that's Bhutan.
So you have a big plan.
Yep.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Dear friends, is it mind-boggling for a man who normally does accounting and finance? Ooh la la! And you're going to finish this, or let's try your Italian surprise, and then we'll do the rum, because I have a few more questions. What really inspires you, for God heaven's sake?
Oh, this
is wild when you get into Michael's brain. Rider, skateboard, surfing, girlfriends, romance, children, finance, books, Bhutan, philosophy. I mean, where else are we going?
So there's a little bit of fizz on this, so we'll see what's going to go on with this. And we'll
talking about VA Brett and talking about whatever. Well, we experimenting.
Wow.
It's September 1. It's a new moon.
Yeah.
My nose is enough, but I will dare to go with my lips. Shall I?
You can probably skip it.
Well, you're so kind to bring it.
It's I don't think it's faulted. It's just kind of trippy.
I will let you describe. You're the master of wine.
Yeah.
You're about to pass 6. I haven't started studying.
Well, so I think we were talking about this wine before. Like he basically puts it in these jars and puts it in a pool and ferments it and ages it underwater. And
he doesn't believe in straight bottles either. Which is great.
I think what happened is, so this guy's doing a bunch of stuff on a budget.
Yeah.
So my understanding is he went and found a bunch of old Travaglini Gattinara bottles in a warehouse and bought them on the cheap and just put his wine into it. And so he saved. Yeah, so he's a thrifty guy. I don't think he.
Well, shall we show the bottle, because it's a pretty cool shape.
It's a pretty cool shape.
It feels it got squeezed in the sofa when you were talking to your girlfriend. Well, in between 2 kisses.
Well, you know the reason that they used to do this is because the sediment would trap in this bubble when they would pour the older ones.
I thought it was trying to be a cleavage or behind.
No, it's. I like
or spine.
I like that idea.
Some of us look at the world in a very different way.
I'm trapping sediment, and you're seeing bosoms.
Well, you know, I see sculptural, beautiful, feminine shapes.
You were a true artist, my friend.
Well, in my own eyes. But thank you for bringing this. This is great to discover wine
so this is the 3rd bottle of this I've had, and one of them was just spectacular, and the last 2 have been kind of like this. Mm-hmm. I think.
Is it why you were shaking a bit when you arrived?
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. No, I tried the other 2 in the parking lot. So I was so intimidated to meet the notorious JCB.
I'm having the shakes. Yeah. This is very interesting. And now, well, I love it. This is so fun. Now, tell us about your inspiration. You get it everywhere.
So here's what I think.
And that's a big deal for everyone and all our friends with us, is inspiration. And how you get to do what you do and to go to the next level in your life. Not necessarily financially or business-wise, but just, intellectually and philosophically and all of that.
So I'm 51 years old.
You're that old?
I know. God, can you imagine?
God, when I'm going to get there.
God, don't do it. It's way worse than you can imagine.
Well, I'm lucky because I go backwards now.
I know I don't look it. I know
50 minus 2, 48. It feels good.
But so I think at this stage of my life, I only want to do epic shit with cool people.
Yeah,
that's all I want to do.
For sure.
Like if it's cool But the people are douchebags, not interested.
That's right.
If the people are great, but it's the work or the whatever I'm doing is boring, I don't want to do that either. I only want to do really interesting things with really interesting people. That's what we're here to do. It's just for the experience. I also believe, to your question about
inspiration,
I think the universe takes you where you're supposed to be if you let it. If you fight it, it's like jumping into whitewater rapids. Yeah. If you just relax and ride the rapids, you get the ride of your life. But if you fight it and you get bounced off the rocks or whatever. And so I think if you just sort of let the universe go and you see the epic shit, cool people thing, you lean in on it, you go where you're supposed to go.
Like that.
That's what I think.
And you let it happen as such.
And you just let it happen. And
you ride the waves.
You ride the waves. You don't know where the wave's going to take you. You get up and you get on it. And you can't be afraid to get on it.
That's right.
But once you get up, then guess what?
Because you're not afraid.
I'm not. I have no fear of failure. I have no fear of a lot of things, actually.
And why? Explain.
Oh, I should be looking at the camera. I'm not a camera guy. I keep forgetting.
You're very good at it. And why? As I'm going to get a corkscrew to open that bottle of Burgundy you brought, because I cannot resist. It's a friend of mine. So hopefully I can get a corkscrew because we're going to pop that cork.
Yeah, let's get this off. I'll go old school and just rip the capsule off.
God, the girlfriend. How long does she wear the bra before you rip it off?
I would never date a woman who wore a bra.
Here we are. That was. I'll open it for you. You know, I feel I belong to that world quite a bit. So, what's your dream?
What's my dream? Well, I would love one of the things I would love to see happen.
Yeah,
and I truly believe this. If we can make Bhutan a relevant country in the world of wine, if we can create opportunities for all the families, I think about this like 50 years from now, 100 years from now, I see this. You know, families are growing these magnificent grapes. People from all around the world like come there to meet the people, to see the vineyards, to drink the wine. People around the world are so excited to get their hands on some of it, and I make a difference to a country.
Yeah,
like to me, that's awesome. But I'm not doing it in a philanthropical way. I'm a capitalist.
Yes.
So
explain the world why being a capitalist is so important.
Well, it's the age-old adage, right? How do you make a small fortune in the wine business, right?
I say that as a philosophy, though, because I have a feeling you could be. It's irrelevant of political parties,
right?
It's a philosophy of one can do it and anyone can do it, and that's what I mean by, anyone commenting on this statement of capitalist is America. You could be. Democrat, Republican, it's irrelevant.
Right.
But both are capitalists.
Absolutely.
The moment you abandon, I think, this philosophical idea, which we have in many countries, including maybe mine, the world is not the same. And so I love your comment.
And I think it's a combination of this. I have an idea and I can do it.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to do, you can try it and see what happens. So there's the confidence piece of it. And then there's the risk-reward trade-off.
That's right.
Right? Where I'm going to take all of my money, all of my time, and try to build something for a country 100 years from now.
That's awesome.
But I'd like to be rewarded for it now. Because it's a big risk. I'm not doing it just because it's cool.
But that's great.
But even
honest about it, you're clear about it, you see the potential. They certainly see it. If not, I don't think they would do it.
I think, well, there was some skepticism for the first couple of years. So he spent a lot of time talking to people. And I was like, look, you know how we can put this argument to rest? Let's put some vines in the ground and see if the grapes grow. And then we did that, and the grapes grew like Jack and the Beanstalk. And I was like, see? I told you.
And you know why I love you, Michael, as your style, is a consultant typically is paid to give an opinion. And they typically don't do much beyond the opinion. They don't put their body on the line or their dollars, in the project. And in your case, it's very different. You're really going for it. you advise, and boom, you do it. And I commend you on that because, we often say the consultant and other people who pay for it or who actually do it or, measure the return or the reward or the failures directly. They witness it, but, and you're doing it. So I commend you.
Yeah, they say the consultant borrows your watch to tell you what time it is and then charges you for it.
Hey, can I borrow your watch?
Not this watch.
Oh, come on. I thought we were friends.
No, we're not that close.
Really?
This wine,
you see how much of a distance he kept?
Yeah,
that's
like,
the
don't touch the Hublot, man.
Yeah,
you touch the Timex.
Yeah.
This wine's great.
So what is it? What are we tasting?
You're tasting.
So for the fun of it, typically we focus on a series of wine we have in the cellar. This one we happen to have as well. But it's a great surprise. So great friends, La Loubise Leroy and her daughter, Perrine Leroy, who is a great close friend, phenomenal lady, lead this amazing estate, fully biodynamic like we are. And you surprise us with this. So why?
I love Gamay.
Wow.
I love Gamay. I love Pas du Grand.
Yeah.
That to me, like there's...
Pas du Grand is a blend of Pinot and Gamay in the bottle of wine. 63, 37, whatever it is.
However they decide they want to. And they could put some Aligoté and stuff in there too, actually, I think, for the ASC. Well, I'm explaining how French wine works too, for a guy who owns French wineries. So. But I think, sometimes you want a wine that's really complex. Yeah. And sometimes you want a wine that just kind of sparks you, but doesn't require a lot of work.
That's
and to me, Gamay is that, and Pas du Grand is that. You get like all of the specialness of Burgundy, but in something that's just doesn't require a lot of effort. Now, given my choice between a Pas du Grand and a Grand Cru, I am probably going to do the Grand Cru. But I just think this is a cool
And thank
wine.
you for bringing it up because no one would even fathom having us necessarily promote Gamay from Burgundy, which is typically Beaujolais, as such on the label as a 2019, which tastes amazing.
It tastes amazing, and I think none of this is really from Beaujolais. I think it's all like Côte. You probably know. It's probably Côte
I know
de Nuit,
exactly
right?
where it's from. Absolutely. It's the heart of the Côte de Nuit, Côte de Beaune.
Yeah.
I won't define nor divulge because I think I know where it's from. But this is very cool.
But here's the other thing. Like, if you are a winemaker in the Côte de Nuit and you have a vineyard and you're planting Gamay, you know why you're doing it? It's because you love it.
That's right.
Because you love Gamay. Because you could make a lot more money planting Pinot in that vineyard. Of course. So if I see a Côte de Nuit Gamay, I know that wine is made by someone who loves
And
it.
this is tasting amazing.
It's spectacular. And it's in 2019. I mean, Jesus.
So now, before your big message to the world, Michael, I would love for you to present your latest incredible creation because when we said he's an entrepreneur, he's a true serial lover entrepreneur. Killer, I don't like that term. Who wants to kill when we can create?
Create. Or love.
Serial creator. That's a new term from now on. Forget serious.
I'll put out a couple tweets.
Would you?
Yeah.
Thank you.
We'll get Killer out of the way.
Yes. Because you created this.
We did create this. So this is Socal Platinum Rum. My friend and I did this as we were just trying to create rum that was...
And the parrots. I like that.
That cap is cool.
Great cap.
It's extruded aluminum.
Well, I was thinking, cool. Fucking hey, that costs more than the label.
That's an expensive cap. For sure. But we just set out just to see if we could make an alternative to Bacardi that wasn't kind of bitter and shitty. And so we played around with this recipe, and after about 4 years, we thought we had it right. And so we made some and we bottled it. And it was just for us. Like, once again, it's like kind of like Bhutan. I didn't set out to own a rum company. I set out to do something cool with my friend. Epic shit with cool people. Yeah. And so we made this, and people tried it. And they're like, you should sell this. And so we're like, we don't know if it's that good. So we entered it in the San Francisco Spirits competition, and it won a gold. And we were like, So then we submitted it to Bin Network, and they gave it 95 points, the highest score for a silver rum ever in history. We're like, maybe we're onto something here. So what do you think? Like, you're a spirits company. You have a spirits company?
Well, An expert is someone who knows how to be wrong with authority. So I would like to say the legs are gorgeous. The sunshine is beautiful. The robe is deep and rich and intense. And I want to say that it's so inviting that from here I want to dance flamenco, and I want to dance maybe Aruba, and I want to dance and move and want to have more. And I think I can have it pure, which is for me very unusual on any spirits, because, you know, a little dilution is better as I'm, you know, so much into wine, but I'm very impressed. Wow.
It's literally, you can just sip it just like it without any.
So what's the base of the rum? Is it sugar cane?
Sugar cane. And so here's the secret. I'll tell you, I'll divulge all of our IP. We're
talking to thousands and thousands of friends around the world. So are you sure you want to do that?
Yeah, because I don't think it's that. Like, I think if everyone did this, we'd have way better rum to drink.
Yeah.
Not that I'm a rum guy, but I'm a wine guy. But,
I like that.
But I like the idea of like, hey, I have no secrets. It's like in Bhutan, if everyone wants to start growing wine, we all win. A rising tide lifts all boats. So anyway, when you make rum, there's a first press of the sugarcane, which is like clear water. It looks like it's first, free run juice, like equivalent. And then you press it, and you get second press, third press, fourth press, fifth press. By the time the fifth press happens, it looks like mud. Yeah. It's called Blackstrap Molasses. Pretty much most of the rum companies start with that. Our secret is we just start with the first press. We just take that extra.
It's the olive oil model.
It's the olive oil model.
I love it.
And what was funny is when we first were doing this, we were talking to, because I don't know anything about rum, I'm talking to some rum experts, like, give me some advice. And they're like, here's how you do it. And I go, literally, me just being an asshole, well, what happens if we start with the first press? Like, why do we have to start with the fifth? And they're like, it's way too expensive. And I go, well,
what do they do with it?
Well, so normally they would take like the first press and they would put it into like food applications.
Oh.
And here's what I think I think back in the day, in like, those sugarcane producing countries, they would grow the cane, which is all they could grow.
Yeah.
They would get every bit of utility out of it that they possibly could.
Yeah.
And then they would boil that shit down and make alcohol with whatever's left. It's like Mark, right? Mm-hmm. And just take all the leftover stuff and we can still make an alcohol.
For sure.
And it was very bitter, but that became the style. And that's kind of what everybody knew. So that's how you made it. And all we did was, well, let's start.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I cannot believe we're drinking rum.
We're drinking rum on your wine show. That's great. And I got to plug all my stuff. This is
crazy.
This
was amazing. So now, Michael, big statement. Looking at the world.
I keep forgetting to look at the camera.
So, well, you've done an amazing job. What a great afternoon, evening. Wow. And we're going to keep going, dear friends. But we know everybody has things planned. So we'd love Michael to give you the wise prophet, Bhutan, philosophical vision of what you would give as an advice to all of us.
Do epic shit with cool people.
Woo-hoo! That's all it takes. Really enjoyed it.
Dude, this is so much fun. This is such a good time.
To master of wine, the master himself. Woo!